We still don't know the charges, but we do know what this is related to. Again, remember, the first indictment was about him lying to Congress and these leaks to the press. That has nothing to do with this indictment. We are told that this has to do with the case that you heard Caitlin Polans talking about earlier, this investigation from Secret Service into Comey's social media post that he posted a picture on the beach of seashells that said 8647. Then he deleted that post, but at the time, Republicans said that he was trying to incite violence against President Trump using that kind of social media post there. Now, I will tell you that the source that I spoke to directly correlated this to what happened on Saturday night, saying we've already seen all of this incitement of violence. We just saw it again on Saturday night. Not that these two things were directly related, but referencing the event on Saturday night while talking about this indictment in particular and the case around this social media post. It will be interesting to hear what we hear from the Justice Department on this, if there is any kind of actual correlation talking about this incitement of violence. But it also comes at a point where we are hearing from this White House nonstop saying that this is all about political rhetoric, that the reason that there have been so many assassination attempts have been because of rhetoric against President Trump. Obviously, we know that rhetoric on both sides of the aisle has been increasingly violent in this political environment that we are currently in. But that is what we know so far about the current indictment against James Comey, that this is about that social media post, which at the time the Secret Service said that they were going to investigate.
Kristen, thank you so much for that reporting. Caitlin Polans is with us now. So Caitlin, the sourcing indicates that this is over that 8647 post that James Comey published online now years ago. There's no indication, there's no evidence at this point that we're aware of that's in the public that that post had anything to do with what happened on Saturday night, correct?
Correct. Boris, that post was from May of 2025, so several months ago, almost a year ago. And at the time, what happened, I was just going back to remember exactly how this went down. Comey posted it. 8647 people who were Trump allies and Republicans responded to it, initially believing that it was a call to potentially assassinate the president. 86 is what is commonly used in restaurant speak to say when something is out or no more. And 47 would be the 47th president. The seashell post back in May of 2025, James Comey, after this was posted, after there was blowback from Republicans and people who were allied with Donald Trump, he took the post down and he said publicly, "I didn't realize some folks associate those numbers with violence. It never occurred to me, but I oppose violence of any kind, so I took the post down." But the Department of Homeland Security Secretary at the time, Kristi Noem, she said that she did want to have Comey investigated for the assassination, for calling for an assassination of Donald Trump, and that Kash Patel, the FBI director, was also standing by to work on that investigation. They spoke to Comey. It didn't result in anything at that time, but as Kristen noted, we are in a different moment, and this has been a moment where the Justice Department and Donald Trump have wanted to see James Comey investigated, prosecuted, indicted for multiple different inquiries. We know that there have been multiple inquiries around Comey, his work as the FBI director, potentially other things that had happened after he was the FBI director. The perjury case that he previously faced in the Eastern District of Virginia, that evidence was very much locked down by a judge after the dismissal of that case. We are still waiting to hear exactly what else is going on here. I just spoke to the clerk's office in North Carolina, in the federal court that would be covering the beaches there, which is very possibly where this would have been, where he would have taken that photo. They have nothing yet that they knew of, and I'm looking at the court records, and there's nothing online at this time. So we're waiting more from either the court or the Justice Department or from Comey himself to get a response. Right now, still a lot of questions, but this indictment, it clearly is something much different than what Donald Trump has been so angry about over all these years, the Russia investigation that James Comey oversaw in 2016. Instead, it's about a social media post that James Comey took down and said he intended no harm with from May of 2025.
Yeah, a curveball there. Caitlin Polans, thank you so much. Or thanks to Kristen Holmes at the White House as well. Let's bring in National Security Attorney Bradley Moss. Bradley, thanks for being with us. What is your reaction to this news? James Comey indicted for a second time.
If at first you don't succeed, try again, Donald. Eventually you'll get him. Look, we're waiting to hear, as Caitlin just noted, where this was even brought and what the charges are. Two of the likely angles that she mentioned there, if they were to try that again, whether it's the perjury issue that was tried in the Eastern District of Virginia, or if it's that photo with the 8647, if they try to bring up some kind of threat against the president, prosecution along those lines. Those would be a joke. The pretrial motions write themselves. A third-year law student can get those tossed, let alone the top team he'll have defending him. What we don't know, and what will be interesting to see is this the first shot coming out of South Florida, where we know there's this ongoing attempt by Trump allies in the Justice Department to try to bring some sort of grand conspiracy charge dating all the way back to 2016 and Crossfire Hurricane and the intelligence community assessment of 2017. They are finally trying to bring that case. It'll be fascinating to see if they are. It's riddled with legal problems. Waiting to see what the indictment shows, but I am not by any means impressed by this maneuver.
I also wonder about recent changes at the DOJ, and specifically I'm talking about former Attorney General Pam Bondi's exit. President Trump on social media posted about his frustrations over her not pursuing prosecutions against some of his political rivals, Comey among them, as well as Letitia James, James Brennan, etc. Does it say something about how the new acting Attorney General, Todd Blanche, President Trump's former personal attorney, might approach these cases?
Yeah, it's certainly something we're going to learn about in the pretrial motions, no doubt, in some form of discovery. Were there declination memos? Did this already try to get brought up? And Pam Bondi, of all people, who was by no means weak-willed when it came to trying to bring prosecutions in support of Donald Trump's vendetta, did she turn these down? And yet Todd Blanche and now Joe DiGenova as well, who was brought in as a counselor to DOJ out in Florida, are they now trying to bring this over the objections of career prosecutors who previously rejected this? It's going to look terrible for the Justice Department and its reputation, no doubt, when this all gets fleshed out in some form of criminal discovery, and if this ever gets to trial, which I don't expect it will. But Donald Trump doesn't care about that. What he wants is what he's getting right this moment, which is the headline, James Comey indicted. He wants the spectacle. He doesn't care about what comes out in the end. If he gets prosecuted and convicted, that's just a bonus for Donald Trump. He wants these chyrons right now.
And no doubt, whether there's a case, whether he winds up getting prosecuted, however the case gets adjudicated, it is expensive to mount a defense. And there's no doubt that Comey wasn't looking forward to headlines like this. So it is interesting that you raised that point. Bradley Moss, thanks so much for the perspective.